do this is we want to make sure that you sell as much as you possibly can at the right price, which suits you and the merchant. And the way to do that is to make sure you're having the correct sales conversation with them. There's no point walking in and saying, I can beat your rates, because that won't work in a lot of the places, because that's what everybody else is doing. You have a whole sweep of products that you have that we've started to go through, which will enable you to vastly improve the way in which they take payments. And the skill now is for you to understand how to get that information across to them. So the first thing to say about having a sales conversation, it's a script. It's a structure, not a script. It's a plan, not a pitch. When I started selling cigarettes back in 2001, they put us on a training scheme. They gave us a script. I did 13 customers a day, 5 days a week for 6 months. I can still do it because I did it so much. I can almost do it word for word, which is annoying, but it's stuck in my brain. And the point about saying this is, first of all, it's great if you're doing that and you're training someone, because you know if you do it well, then they would sell in 2/3 of the shops they went into, and therefore they were going to pass. And that's the reason we did it. The reason why I bring it up with regards to merchant services is, cut down the line 20 years, I trained this approach. I thought I knew better. I went out with an idea of a script, went to 30 businesses on the first day selling Dojo, and I sold none. I got nowhere. And I realized that you have to be able to have a conversation with people, not talk at them. And that's the reason why we do this. So, do you know what the first part of a sales conversation is?
I've been taught a methodology called SPINS, which stands for situation, problem, implication, need, payoff. So I generally start with a few questions about their current situation.
Perfect. That's actually stage 2 for us, but then perfect. The first part, as far as we're concerned, is just make sure you go out and find some people. You can call it introduction, but you can also call it prospecting. So this is about going to talk to as many people as you can. I will skip forward to the second part of it, which is exactly what you talked about, which as far as we're concerned, which is the discovery phase. This is about asking questions. So get to know your merchant, get to know how your merchant works, to uncover pain as it relates to how they take payments, discover the gap between where the merchant is now and where they want to be. There is a huge temptation to listen to one thing and skip forwards. Don't do that. So in other words, if they say, and I'm so guilty of this, if they say, wish my machine had 4G connectivity because my Wi-Fi keeps going down, the temptation is to go, brilliant, let me explain about all this terminal, and you've missed so much stuff. So what you're going to have to practice and continue to practice is getting really good at asking questions about how they do their business. And I guarantee that if you go into Kentucky Fried Chicken, for example, you're not going to go in and talk about rates. You're going to talk about business processes and how it works for them. That's just an example. Where I really learned this is I sold to a zoo. And when you sell to something like that, you end up going, well, let's talk about how the day goes. Let's see all the places you take payments. Let's see what problems you have in all of those places, and let's see if we've got a system that can meet all of those points and more. It was an interesting day walking around the zoo, to be honest. But that's the point. The bigger the account gets, actually the more of a need for this to be done. But actually, if you can get used to doing it to the smaller accounts, you become really effective. So after you've done your discovery, what do you think comes next?
Develop the pain?
That's part of this, but I'm with you. What does that pain cause you? Give me some monetary value or some time problems that it causes. I'm with you. What else do you think will come after this?
It's just like qualifying. So is there stuff that someone can do that'll be specifically useful for that business?
You mean what we do?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Demonstrate.
Okay.
How do we overcome it? Because at this point, if you're thinking of the flow of the conversation, tell me something about that card machine. Really cheesy line, but it does work. Which is, tell me something about that card machine. What doesn't it do now that you wish it could? And then start, and then you've got to get them to embellish, because if they say, using the example of the Wi-Fi, which is a bit of a lame example because most have got 4G now, but let's run with that. Okay, well, so you wish you had 4G. Why do you wish you had 4G? Well, because the Wi-Fi goes down. Well, how often does that go down? Well, it goes down every few days. How long for? How many customers do you lose? How much money does that cost you? And you get the idea behind it. But when you get to the demonstration phase, you will be saying, I heard what you said in terms of your issue with the Wi-Fi. Let me first of all talk to you about, and you're talking about, it connects to the Wi-Fi, but we've also got this 4G SIM, which will overcome the issues you're talking about. And that's where the demonstration phase come in. You lead with the problems they've just had, they've just spoken about, and then you get to talk about all the other great stuff that comes on top. So once you've done the demonstration phase, what do you think comes next?
Solution?
Solution's part of the demonstration phase, but it's good. So that you are actually presenting the solution at this point. So you've done a really good job presenting the solution. What are all good sales calls finish with?
Asking for the business.
Asking for business. Perfect. Make sure you do it. Which sounds the stupidest thing you could think I could possibly say, but trust me, I had a conversation with the Dojo commercial manager once, and his name was Kevin, and he said, I've got 80 reps out on the road, and about 20 of them asked for the business. I wish they all did. Do not lose time on tire kickers, which will not commit to the business. You have got hundreds of thousands of businesses out there to go for. Keep them on the back burner, but don't waste too much time on them. But make sure you ask for the business. And we'll go through the best ways of asking for the business.
Otherwise, there's a danger they'll just go back to their existing acquirer with your rates, isn't it?
I think you can almost assume they are going to do that. Some of them will, which is annoying, because it then comes, you've probably not done your discovery phase well enough here to uncover what pain they're having. And there is sometimes that assumption. But don't forget, you are a commodity in this. What you offer them in terms of your time, your expertise, how trustworthy you are, is important as most of the other things that are in here. What do you think? So I said the last part of the call is closing process, but in reality, what it really is the last part of this process. You've sold it to them, they've agreed. What comes next?
Sign up.
So sign up's part of the close, but then after the sign up, what else are you going to do for them?
Consolidation.
Yeah, consolidation as well. But as part of the consolidation, what do you do for them?
Give me the number if they have any issues.
Setup.
Set up and give them the numbers in case there's a problem. Definitely that. I cannot emphasize enough that you showing them how to use it, setting it up for them, going through the underwriting stage and helping them set up the account, which is what Dan did with you on Monday, and you providing your details, what impact that is going to have, because not everyone will do it, and it will leave such a good feeling with them that if you need to be recommended elsewhere, you will be.
Do we carry stock?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yes. The idea is you'll go in, sell it, and you can have them transacting and happy when you leave. That's the idea behind it.
And then we get paid once they're activated.
There's two. You get paid. So you get paid when they £500 goes through the machine. You get paid once, and then there is a second mechanism which will go through on Thursday. But I can assure you, it's rich. It is very.
Brilliant. Can I just break a minute? I've got somebody at the door.
Please do.
Thanks.
Just while Martin's going, has anyone got any questions about what we've just done here?
No, explained pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Sorry, I was going to ask, what if when you go there, say, maybe doing your discovery or prospecting, and they say, "Oh no, we're fine with what we have. Like we don't, almost like they're trying to just, I don't want to talk about this." Is there a risk around that?
You're going to assume that that'll happen quite a lot. You are, and truth be told, I always try not to annoy people and leave if they do really don't want to talk about it. I'll leave my details and store their details. Ask them questions about their current contract, where they are. Ask them why they're happy, what it is. But then they become part of your whole suite of customers that you can call back on. I always worked on the basis that if somebody doesn't really want to talk to you, don't have time, then you politely say thank you very much. And what I'll do is I'll pop back and see you in a few months to see if there's something else I can do you at a later point. You will all have different ways of doing this. But the more pushy you are, the more likelihood is that you won't get it. That's my own personal opinion.
Did you say you won't or you will?
You won't. The more pushy you are, no. And if they're really resistant to it, then there comes a point when you thank them very much and say we'll pop back in a few months to see if anything's changed.
Okay. I guess my second question is the 4G SIM that comes with it. Do they have to renew like the data on that 4G SIM? How does it work out? I just don't understand.
No, it works in the background. It's just it's in there and it works. So don't worry.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
No problem. So that's the sales conversation in a nutshell. They're the things that you want to do. So, prospecting. These are the kind of things that you need to ask yourself. So first of all, if it was your business, what would you want to see? So obviously you're going to look at what you look like. So dress for the occasion, be smart and professional. Are we going to go out in suits?
I do.
You do?
I don't.
I would if that's what you'd recommend.
I'd actually not recommend it, but it's what works for you. What if you see somebody in a suit? What do you think they're going to think?
That you're coming to audit the shop, or
It's official. They're going to think it's official. I'm with you 100%. Look, I'm not here to sway anyone. If it works for you, Martin, it works for you. But we always don't recommend that you go in a suit because they will start thinking you're official and they won't want to talk to you. Especially, go on.
Is there any like SumUp t-shirts you could have with like a pair of trousers and a belt to shoes? Is that something?
I
You can mix
believe
it both.
I believe there's hoodies. So
Hoodies.
have a chat with the TM. Have a chat with the TM.
We supplied our measurements for something or other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other thing is be comfortable, because we recommend that you go off and when you're cold calling, you'll find a high concentration of businesses and you'll be walking between them. There's opportunities everywhere. And initially, if you have no network, you've got to go out and talk to as many people as possible. So have that in mind. So don't go out there with some uncomfortable shoes. Get something comfortable, but be smart. All right, be smart. What are you going to say to people? What's your opening line? Any ideas?
Ask them the name.
Yeah, good start.
You're trying to find a decision maker ultimately, aren't you?
Yeah, you are. I'll give you a cheesy one, because it's going to be different into most shops you go into. Find some way of giving a compliment. It's really cheesy, but it does work. And obviously, don't lie. Don't be insincere. If the place is a tip, Don't go, I love what you've done with the place, but find some way. The example I always give, and it's a good one, is Peter and I went into a men's clothing shop in Sutton Coldfield, which is a posher part of Birmingham. And we spent the first 10 minutes playing with their dog. And at the end of playing with the dog, walked out with a statement. And she said, look, I never talk to salespeople, but you two were nice. The reality was she was a dog person. And you can't use that in every example you walk in there, but you've got to find a niche and want to talk to them. So sometimes just love what you've done with the place, something like that. But an opening line is good because first impressions last. Okay. Amari, what would you use?
So for me, it depends on what time of the day it is, to be honest. If it's like early in the day, very bubbly, I introduce myself, ask to speak to the business owner who's in charge of running the place or anything like that. But it's always like on a warm, polite, friendly sort of thing. I don't go in carrying a briefcase. I wear like a jumper, maybe some jeans, sometimes some trousers and a gilet. And I just walk in like I'm a customer, do you know what I mean? And then obviously I start to have a conversation. If it's towards the end of the day and I'm a bit tired or it hasn't been great out on the road, then I'm in there just saying, can I speak to the owner? Can I speak to the owner? Can I speak to the owner? And sometimes both ways work. But yeah, like you said, complimenting works very well. And I find as well, sometimes if you buy something, inexpensive of course, it's a nice gateway to open up the conversation as well. So like if you're in a convenience store, you might pick up a bottle of water that you wanted to get anyway. But instead of going to Tesco's, you might go into an off license to purchase it. And then it's a nice way to then start having a conversation as well.
If you're paying by card, you get to see who they use currently, don't you?
Exactly, yeah. And it's like £1, £1.20. And then more often than not, they'll say, oh, minimum is £2, £3. And then it's a perfect conversation around authorization fees, around why do you charge for these, why does it have to be a minimum of £2 or £3? And then you have a nice gateway into having a potentially good conversation with the merchant.
Perfect. Love it. I've spent a fortune on picnics and Snickers. I really have, because it's always a good routine. I wish it was water, but it isn't. I always buy chocolate. And then I always go down the route of when it's an authorization fee. We've not gone on to charges yet, but we don't have authorization fees. So again, it's a great way to get in there and start talking about it. Brilliant. Coffee shops, buy coffee and sit there and just watch what's going on. If I think back to my first 3 sales, first one was my butcher's. There's actual butchers that I use. Again, he knows me, so it's a great starting point. Second one's the guy that did my MOT. So here's the thoughts for you going out there now. So again, knows me. And the third one, I went out for Sunday lunch at a really, really busy restaurant, and I watched them walking around with a card machine in their hand like that to get a signal. That was the third sale. And then, of course, everything leads on from there. But perfect, exactly the way that the examples that Amari gives. Okay, this is really important for you to remember. So you're prospecting SumUp, it's not just a card machine. Okay, remember you've got a whole ecosystem of products and services you can offer. You're not selling them card processing services for the first time. You're exchanging what they have for something better. You're reviewing how their business handles payments. Have it in your brain that you're a consultant in the payments industry. You are there to help them. Because in that way, and when you do help them, your business relationship with them will be that much stronger. They won't want to go anywhere else because you'll be trusted. One of the things we haven't spoken about is we also offer an online store. So have that in the back of your mind. No problem, Ronnie. Again, go and look on the app and you'll see how easy they set them up. You're in a retail store and you're given the ability to sell online. Again, it's free except for the online, except for the payments that they would sell the products for. Question from me. If they say they're busy right now, which funny enough, Ian, is what one of the things that you were saying is, what happens if they don't want to talk to you right now? You've got 2 options there. Which one is the better one for you to come back with?
The second one.
Yeah. Get them to commit. Again, it seems really obvious, but get them to commit to a time when they're going to come back, when you're going to come back and speak to them. As a caveat from me, more often than not, they'll forget that you're coming. I've had to really begin to understand that I am not important in their lives. However, at least try and get them to commit to a time for them to be there. And so they will expect for you to be there and to talk about card payments, payment services. Now we're into the point of a pain point. So pain point is a specific challenge that prospective customers, your business, are experiencing. In other words, you can think of pain points as challenges, plain and simple. Give me some pain points for your merchants.
Ease.
Please, definitely.
Not being payment or lack of speed of payment.
Speed of payment, yeah, 100%.
Processing times.
Yeah, yeah. So settlement times.
Yep, settlement times, 100%. Network, yeah, a deal. Yep.
Lack of visibility.
In terms of in terms of the app.
So apps, statements, yeah, just pretty much anything to do with the payments that they're taking. They don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, 100%.
Lack of POS. The irony is my POS don't do POS.
But that's a really good one because that leads on to all the other things like stock management, which leads on to managing employees, which leads on all those other things. And actually, that leads me really well into, I've got some headers for pain points. So everything you've said, brilliant, they are pain points. But if you can think of it in terms of headers, costs, how much they're paying to stay in business is rising. They will be talking about that. That will be related to fees. Revenue, how much money the customers spend when they walk in. So the basket sizes will be reducing. That's a pain point for a customer. They're taking less money than they did before. Footfall, how many people are coming into their business? So are you maintaining and attracting the customers? And then operations, how much time it takes to do essential jobs. Then relate that to what we have, which can overcome some of those things. The app is a great one. Bookings is a good one. We do loyalty cards and gift cards and everything related to the POS. All of those things are going to help them do what they need to do. But everything is always related to how much money they make, how much time they have to do it. So you'll have to start practicing a whole sweep of questions to overcome that you can ask to get this information out. We'll practice it later in the week. Okay, so how can we find these things out? So here's an example of some of the questions that you can ask. Some good, some not so good. How do you find your current provider? They prefer that you would say something like, tell me what your current provider could improve to get them start talking about it. I'm going to put these all up, and the reason why I put them all up is because personally, it's about how you ask it, not the words that you say. So what you don't want to do is, for example, and I've seen this, that one is a big one. Don't say that. Don't criticize in any way, shape or form the current card machine. Any of our opposition, don't criticize them. I've done it in here. I've given I've given what I think of Dojo, but the reality when I'm out there, I never talk about how positively how good the machine works, because it does. It's a good machine. It is a good machine, but I'll let them tell me that. But you'll see, this is a good example here. If you say, wow, that's an awful machine, ask them, how do you find the payment speed? As opposed to commenting on how bad it is, because let them tell you, oh, it's crap. Oh, okay, why is it crap? Oh, well, it takes ages to do it. Well, what does that cost you? It cost me a fortune. Okay. Well, how often is it like that? Well, how many transactions do you do? Well, I do 1,000 a month. Okay. So how many do you think you could do if the payment speed is better? Well, how much does that equate to in cash? You get the route that I'm going down. And the bottom one, it's not a bad question, which is why did you go with your current provider for payments? And it's about what were the reasons you chose that current card machine in the first place? What was the rationale? All right. We're going to get to the point where we're explaining the price as well as the rates. What else does your merchant want to know? Hi, Ronnie.
How he gets billed.
Perfect. Perfect. You're the first person to say that at this point, and it's the most relevant, one of the most relevant things. And we charge them how?
Net settlement.
Brilliant. Yeah, exactly right. What else do you think they're going to want to know?
Last time I did this a long while ago, you touched on it earlier on. A lot of people are reluctant to move their bank. They might have generous overdrafts, so they're going to want to know what it's for you to explain that there's a dedicated bank account that they do sweeps from.
Perfect. Really good one. They're going to want to know that. What else do you think they're going to want to know?
Is there any hidden fees?
Yeah, definitely.
Support.
Pardon?
Support. What support they get? What backup if they have problems?
Yeah, 100%. Is there a contract with SumUp?
No.
It's another biggie. So get to that point. I think that kind of covers most of the things they want to know at this point. And then the other thing is, what's the risk of presenting a cheap price?
You devalue the product.
100%. Cheap price, cheap product. And then, of course, the other thing is, if you go at the lowest rate possible on your first close, where else are you going to go if they say no? It's just a basic thing, but 100%. So don't go for the cheap price. My golden rule is, I'm going to say it again, do what's right for them, do what's right for yourself. To be honest, I one of the first ones I signed, I put on high rates and I regretted it because he was a guy that wouldn't have known anything different, and I kind of fleeced him a little bit. And the first opportunity I had to sign him to somebody else, I did the opposite. All right, so we've mentioned this as well. We talk about benefits. So a benefit isn't just telling a customer one of our features, it's about what that feature can do for them specifically. You can always tie it to what we found out in the discovery phase since it's truly relevant. So it's truly relevant. And the point being here is don't assume they can join the dots. And I'll give you an example of that. You told me queues are a problem. We've got a tap-to-pay on-phone solution which your staff can use to bust queues. It protects your revenue and means your customers get a better experience. So just because you've got tap-to-pay on the phone, explain to them where it's relevant. Tell them what it does for them. Tell them what it does for your customers. So when you're explaining a benefit, really, really go to noddy the big ears, as we call it, to assume that they're an idiot. And then just a few things in terms of problems they may have and solutions we can offer. So I need to visit a wholesaler daily to buy fresh stock for my coffee shop. What do we have?
Payment in 3 hours.
Pay it in 3 hours. Ian, what did you say? So when you say not give the lowest or cheap rates, which of the rates are negotiable, please? We can negotiate on credit cards and debit cards. And I go through all of this tomorrow morning. Taking cash tips is tricky with the new legislation around tipping staff. What do we have?
Card tipping.
Card tipping, 100%. That's not relevant, and neither is that because we've changed. Tomorrow morning, you are in with me at 9 o'clock. I'm going to send a calendar invite. It's more often, it's quite often that your calendars are set to the wrong time zone. So I'm telling you, it's 9 o'clock. No matter what you receive, join at 9 o'clock. We're going to be covering pricing. At the end of the day and after this, I'm going to send you all an email with the instructions for the rest of the week. It is dependent on you being what's called an FSP 1 and 3 or an FSP 2. FSP 1 and 3 means you've sold in this industry before. FSP 2 means you're brand new. 1 and 3 are required tomorrow, but you're not required on Thursday. FSP 2, you're required the rest of the week. Also, after this session, I will join you to a WhatsApp group for all new field starters. It requires WhatsApp, so if you don't have WhatsApp, I won't be able to join you in, and I'll probably invite you to join WhatsApp. If you don't want me to put you on that group, we have had some people that didn't want to be in that group because they didn't want everyone to know that they were selling for SumUp because they work in other industries or other acquirers. Then again, here is my number. I'll give you an hour or two. I'm going to put it in chat to contact me and tell me not to add you. All right? I've had it happen too often where somebody contacts me straight afterwards and go, "Can you please remove me now?" All right? Because one or two of you might sell for Dojo and you're not allowed to sell for anybody else. That's fine. I won't add you. And then also, you will receive an automated email, which can sometimes land in spam, for the pricing recommendation tool, which allows you to be able to do a price comparison. That will also be sent. Other than that, thank you ever so much for today. I know it's a long session. I can say by Yusuf's dying now is yawning.
Okay.
Have a good evening. I will see you all in the morning. Callum, you got a question?
Yeah, just a quick one. I actually broke my phone. Well, I didn't personally break it. My phone was broke this morning, but I would still like to be added if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you'll be added. Your phone number still exists.
Okay, perfect.
So I've got your phone numbers because you've given them to SumUp. So
Yeah.
I will add you.
Okay, thank you.
Amazing.
And
Yusuf?
is there a group for like people all over the place, or is it like area based?
The one I join you to is the new SumUp group. So the new starters, and it is national.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you.
What I would recommend, Mufti, just before I come to you, what I would recommend, and I say this now, is if you guys want to share your numbers between each other, one of the biggest helps for me was when I joined Merchant Services was having a mate called Colin. And Colin and I have been spoken to each other every day for 2 years. And for especially those new starters, when it gets tough, having somebody to have a chat with is you're sitting in a lay-by with your head in your hands going, everyone's mean to me. It really helps.
In terms of your socials as well, I've just thought on
No, mate. Go on.
in terms of socials, I've just realised I'm connected to a few MyPOS people on LinkedIn, so I'll quite possibly be ending those connections.
Yeah, well, if MyPOS don't allow you to, sell for anybody else, but I'm sure they do. I thought they were UTP.
I haven't had the conversation, but John Connaughton said that there's not a problem as far as SumUp are concerned.
SumUp actually called you an FSP3, which is you are working with us and you're working with other acquirers. It's only for. Do you know what? I cannot speak with any authority about MyPOS. But I do know Dojo, for example, that is in the contract, which is why I cut ties immediately when I decided to leave.
Well, I'll be focusing less so on MyPOS because I've really not had the support.
Yeah, that's the one thing that SumUp is absolutely incredible with. Incredible.
Well, I mean, for instance, what you're doing here now didn't take any longer than 2 hours. So
yeah, they invested the 3 days they put in. Sometimes for some of us it's 4. The amount of investment they put into this to make sure you understand the product is incredible. Dojo was 2 days or a day and a half. Taya's 4 hours. Yeah, it's sink or swim. Mufti, were you going to ask about your SumUp details? I'll pass that on to Dan if you're having a problem. I genuinely can't help you with that one too much, but Dan has left a message to me to say that if anyone's struggling, to let him know, so I'll let him know. Yusuf?
On Thursday, how long is the thing? Because I think my regional manager, he's going to be in Edinburgh, and he asked to meet me at 1:30. So if there's training for me, I don't know which one to think.
Bear with me a second. So, Yusuf, are you an FSP 2?
Yeah, I'll be FSP.
So, how far is Edinburgh from you?
I live in Edinburgh.
Well, it's fine. So, we finish at 11:30 on Thursday morning, and we don't start again till 4. So there's a break all day. The 4 o'clock session on Thursday is one of the most important during the week because it's where we tell you how much you're going to earn.
Okay, yeah, that works out then.
So it's fine. I think he probably knows that as well, which is why he asked. And just in case anyone doesn't know, Callum, you're a 2. Fian, you're a 2. Yusuf, as you know, you're a 2. And Mufti, you're a 2. Everybody else is either a 3 or a 1. So you're required tomorrow because I go through pricing, really important, and the pricing recommendation tool. But you're not so much needed on how to start out during your working week as a new starter on Thursday. Ian?
When you say a 2, what does that mean? Sorry.
You've never worked in the industry before, and you're required to stay with us all week. So you'll all get invites for every session because we won't discourage you from joining if you want to learn something. If you want to learn something, we can teach you. It's just 1 and 3s Thursdays. Other than the commissions in the afternoon, then you don't really need to join.
What time did you say on Thursday once again?
It's 9 o'clock in the morning till 11:30, and then 4 till it says 4 till 6, but it doesn't last that long. It usually 4 till 5. Why'd you ask?
I got a hospital appointment at 9 on the Thursday.
We'll let Dan know, and we'll deal with it separately.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
And tomorrow we are meeting at 9 o'clock. Tomorrow.
9 o'clock. As I say, regardless of what comes through on the invite, if your calendar is set to the wrong time zone, it might say 10, but it's not. It's 9 o'clock, okay?
No problem.
And big thanks to Alex for joining, since he knows more about SumUp than I do. Yeah, well, funny enough, I mentioned it to Dan, and Dan said Alex knows more about SumUp than he does.
I'll be updated though, because I think you've got the more up-to-date information.
Yeah, cool. Right, guys, enjoy your evening. Expect all the information to come through. See you in the morning.
Thanks,
It's very helpful. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye, Martin.
Hi, Callum.
Oh shit.